This is a Fox News alert. Chaos is on the rise in Iraq today, where Al-Qaeda-inspired militants are threatening to march on Baghdad after seizing the northern cities of Mosul and Tikrit earlier this week. Now, the Iraqi government has asked the U.S. to carry out airstrikes to stop the extremists, but it's unclear what actions, if any, the Obama administration may take. Fox's own Jennifer Griffin, she's standing by in Washington tonight with the very latest. Jennifer.
Hi, Sean. Well, the U.S. military is expediting requests from the Iraqi government for U.S. military aid and equipment as more cities fell to the Al-Qaeda-linked Sunni insurgents known now as the Islamic State of Iraq in Syria, or ISIS.
I know the President of the United States is prepared to make key decisions in short order, and as he made clear earlier, options are on the table right now.
U.S. military sources confirm Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki requested manned and unmanned air support from U.S. warplanes, and Pentagon planners are now furiously mapping out military options for the president.
This is, but ultimately, this is for the Iraqi security forces and the Iraqi government to deal with.
The Pentagon points to the military assistance the U.S. has already given to the Iraqi government, $15 billion of military hardware since 2005.
To include Hellfire missiles, Apache helicopter sales moving forward, and I think later this fall we're still on track for the delivery of 2 F-16s. We're certainly in touch with Iraqi leadership as much as possible here.
But now we have learned the U.S. military trainers who were teaching the Iraqi Air Force how to fly those F-16s were evacuated today from their base in Balad, north of Baghdad. The State Department would not confirm reports that Iranian fighters were already fighting alongside Maliki's forces.
We don't have any confirmation of their presence on the ground, which I think is some of the reports. Clearly, we've encouraged them in many cases to play a constructive role, but I don't have any other readouts or views from our end to portray here today.
And on Monday, U.S. special operators began a month of training for Iraqi special forces in neighboring Jordan. Sean.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. And earlier today, House Speaker John Boehner, he slammed President Obama's failed response to the growing crisis in Iraq. Take a look.
It's not like we haven't seen this problem coming for over a year. And it's not like we haven't seen over the last 5 or 6 months these terrorists moving in, taking control of western Iraq. Now they've taken control of Mosul. They're 100 miles from Baghdad. And what's the president doing? Taking a nap.
All right, so we have to ask, was Boehner referring to this comment made Tuesday by our out-of-touch commander-in-chief? Take a look.
All the challenges we face, all the problems that we have, if you had to choose any moment to be born in human history, not knowing what your position was going to be, who you were going to be, you'd choose this time. The world is less violent than it has ever been. It is healthier than it has ever been. It is more tolerant than it has ever been.
All right, here with reaction, Fox and Friends co-host Brian Kilmeade, from the Weekly Standard, Fox News political analyst Stephen Hayes, and outnumbered co-host, our friend Kirsten Powers, also a Fox News political analyst. Let me give you a few other headlines here as we get into this. Ralph Peters said Iraq's fall is the biggest Islamic victory since the 12th century. I want to get if you know that now. We're evacuating people. We know that, in fact, the Iraqis were begging for air support from the United States. We did not give them that support that they wanted. McCain wants the entire national security team fired. Iranian troops, which Jennifer brought up in her report, are, in fact, it's been confirmed by the Wall Street Journal, are there. Why did we lose Iraq when we literally had brought it to the verge of victory, Kirsten?
I don't believe that it was ever at the verge of victory. So this was what was always going to happen with Iraq. We can make a decision to either stay there forever and police Iraq and continue to lose our men and women dying for Iraq, or we could leave and it was going to turn into chaos. I think that, and I personally think we should have left much sooner. As you know, I don't think we ever should have gone in. But once we had gone in, we did the very best that we could. But this is not a country that ever was completely stabilized. And this is the evidence of it. If as soon as we leave this happens, it's not a stable country.
The problem is we didn't do the best that we could. The problem is we left prematurely. Remember, when President Obama came into office, he gave his first interview to Al Arabiya television. He mentioned Iraq once in passing. It was an entire discussion about the region. President Obama doesn't even mention Iraq. It was a signal of what was to come for the rest of his administration. He passed off the Iraq portfolio to Joe Biden, who didn't do anything and had been wrong about Iraq at every step along the way. And the president didn't do anything else.
Okay, but hold on. But George Bush was going to leave Iraq. I mean, this isn't something that President
George
Obama
Bush had
came
just
up
signed,
with.
just signed a status of forces agreement.
Well, there's a bunch of things that's happening. Number one, you have a military aspect. Obviously, we had a situation where most people thought the surge would not work, one of the most courageous decisions ever. Through mistakes that he made, put himself in that position, he decides, as a President Bush, I'm going to do the surge. Most people, including Hillary Clinton, say it's never going to work, even though she didn't believe it. And Barack Obama says it absolutely won't work. So it works. It was a relatively quiet place when he left. I don't think anyone would argue with that. However, the one thing that's being dismissed is Ambassador Crocker's role. Ambassador Crocker's role and President Bush's constant pressure and conference with al-Maliki was a key. This is what you're doing. This is what to stay on top of this. This is how you lead. This is how you administrate. When President Obama took his hands off the wheel, he didn't want anything to do with that war, and Crocker backed out. They put a guy in there that didn't know anything about the region. It began to fall apart. And al-Maliki ultimately is responsible because he pushed the Sunnis out, took the Sunni generals gone, took them, said, you're going to be out of here, put people that weren't responsible there, had no interest for some odd reason. Maybe it was his adherence to his loyalty suddenly with Iran because we had left. Now all of a sudden, the Sunni go, hey, I have an axe to grind. Hey, you're a terrorist? I think I'd rather be with the terrorists than be with the Shia.
Let me ask this question about this group that calls themselves the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, taking now one city after another. Reading reports in the New York Times and elsewhere today, they're very clear in suggesting that even radical Islamists and jihadists, they fear them because of their brutal tactics, including beheadings and mass murder. Is this the next phase in what is a real war on terror, that they want to attack America and other states?
Well, if they want to attack America, yes. I mean, then I think that's...
Well, why would they not want to, considering that's always been the goal of those that want to advance a caliphate?
They've actually had a goal of doing a lot in the Middle East. They're not completely focused on us, and I think right now they're clearly very focused. They were very focused on Syria, and they're
Israel,
very focused
the
in Iraq.
Kurds, Jordan, Turkey. Where do they go next with this?
Well, I don't know where they go next with this, but I just want to get back to the point of, you're making the point that I was trying to make, which is, in order to keep Iraq even remotely stable, we have to stay there.
No,
it's not,
and
that's the point, is that Americans don't want to be there.
Kirsten, we agree. We agree with this. Well, I agree with you. We have to stay there. Not with 100,000 troops, and not with this huge, we have this huge embassy there. What we have to stay there is have a presence. There's nothing wrong with having a presence in a place that we invested 9 years in war and countless 4,434 lives and 132,000 wounded. There's nothing wrong with gradually moving out, allowing this place to stand up, who's been backwards for centuries.
Steve?
And part of it was not only to keep stability, but as Brian alluded to earlier, to keep Maliki on the straight and narrow. I mean, he needed somebody who was going to say, and I think it was, in part Ryan Crocker, but it was in part having the military presence that we had there to say, in effect, look, you can't purge your troops of Sunni leadership. You have to include everybody.
Let me play Joe Biden from 2010. Remember, Joe Biden also wanted to break Iraq into 3 at one point. He's kind of been wrong on almost every national security issue in history. But this is what he said back in 2010.
I am very optimistic about Iraq. I think it's going to be one of the great achievements of this administration. You're going to see 90,000 American troops come marching home by the end of the summer. You're going to see a stable government in Iraq that is actually moving toward a representative government.
If you're a mother or father that lost a child in Iraq, and now you're watching the disintegration of this country from Tikrit to Mosul, now Islamists marching to Baghdad, or if you gave up an arm or a leg in this battle, this fight, what are you thinking today?
I don't know. I have a real problem with this argument because I don't think we ever should have been there in the first place. And so now it's like, let's make a really bad decision. One of the worst decisions ever in the history of the country. People go there.
Well, the good war, they're doing the same thing in Afghanistan, though.
They lose limbs. No, Afghanistan was not as stupid of a war as Iraq was.
What's Obama doing? The exact same thing. He's pulling out of Afghanistan.
Those are two different, you're going on two different tracks. I have a lot of problems with Obama's foreign policy.
The same outcome is going to happen.
But so if you want to criticize Obama's foreign policy, I'm on board for different reasons.
If you start a war, you finish it. You win it.
Well, you know what? We were there for a pretty long time, Sean. And the question is, how long do you want to stay there?
To win the
war.
And
you guys are in the minority. I'm sorry, most Americans don't
Steve,
want
real
people
quick, last
dying
words.
in Iraq.
If you look at the way that newspapers, including the New York Times, were describing the state of Iraq in February of 2009, right after President Obama came in, right after the successful elections there, it wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't on a glide path to certain success, but things were stable, things were good, the politics were working, security was better.
And we pulled out too early.
We pulled out, and we left.
Two things. Al-Maliki, according to James Rosen, might even be leaving. That's how close they're getting to taking Baghdad, even though they should be standing and fighting. That could be the trend if this trend continues. Number two is we might find ourselves fighting on the same side as Iran because they are as concerned about this terrorist stripe as we are.
The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is in there
now. There goes Jordan, and there goes Lebanon right after.
The House of Cards will pay a price because geopolitically, strategically, it's in our long-term interest to not have this happen, but we'll see. All right, coming up, the Obama White House continues to try and discredit members of Bo Bergdahl's platoon after they revealed details of his capture. Swift Boat Vets for Truth. Remember the founder, John O'Neill? He's going to talk about that smearing. Glenn Beck also returns to the show to explain how he's starting a movement to take down Common Core education. That and more as Hannity continues.